Hey folks, you're listening to the Writer's Podcraft, where my co-host and I examine popular media and articulate our thoughts about why the story works or doesn't. My name's Colin, and I'm joined by my co-host Lance, and today we're talking about Daredevil Born Again.
In this episode, Dex is sent to general population to die. Matt visits him and breaks his face. Fisk invites Heather to his party, which Matt doesn't like. Dex escapes prison with his broken tooth from Matt. Matt realizes that Vanessa ordered Foggy's death at the party, and then when Dex goes to the party, he shoots at Fisk, but Matt takes the bullet for him. So what do you think of this episode?
I thought it was better, but still not that great. It was more entertaining for sure, and it connects A plots to B plots, which has been something we've been complaining about for a very long time. But overall, it still has a lot of overlooking key details and a lot of conveniences, which I did not particularly enjoy. But what about you?
This might be my favorite episode so far. Not because it's flawless, but because it did a lot more than the other episodes did. And I'll start with Dex. So Fisk obviously tried to kill Dex by moving him into prison. And then there's a plot twist that Foggy knew he would win the case that night, and then someone tried to silence him. I'm not really a fan of the way that Matt discovered this plot twist, but I do think it made it more interesting because we learned that Dex didn't just randomly kill Foggy, which is out of character. It was that he was actually hired to kill him. And then because Dex asked Matt to defend him and Matt got angry and smashed his face, that directly led to him having the broken tooth used as a projectile and escape from prison. I thought that was cool. Then he got invited to the party and he tried to shoot him, and that's when it's revealed that Vanessa is actually the one that hired the hit on Foggy, and that was actually a theory that I saw on YouTube a while ago, maybe back when episode 3 came out. Someone theorized that Vanessa was actually the one that killed him, and it fixed the Madman Dex issue. What do you think about that?
Well, I thought it was actually really jarring how this episode it tries to rectify the mistakes of the first episode, which was a reshoot. It's not actually part of the original vision. So it's weird to me that Matt realizes that Dex actually had an ulterior motive. It's not like Dex had random, insane like hysteria and killed Foggy, because that made no sense. And we all called it out when it happened that they had barely any scenes together in season 3. So I don't know why he was targeting Foggy. And instead of Matt being like, this really doesn't make any sense, I need to investigate this, he just kind of like, all right, sure. And suddenly he puts it all together at the end. I was like, should have been like, I wish Matt was considering if Dex had an ulterior motive more, and the evidence just showed no, not really. But Matt just bought into the Dex having like a madman philosophy way too quickly, and I was like, that does not feel earned at all. So now that he gets his discovery, like over a year after it happened, felt like you, Matt, are really not putting like clues together, and you're not even trying to. I really didn't like that. I also don't really understand a lot of the details in this episode. Like they say that Mayor Fisk like ordered Dex to be moved from isolation to Gen Pop. A mayor can't do that. Like they know what a mayor can do? Like they can make like zoning laws and like regulations and like order committees around. They cannot just change like who goes to, like to Gen Pop from isolation. That's like a warden's decision. I wish like maybe last episode or something we see like Mayor Fisk like invite the warden to his office or something. So presumably he's like, going to like, twist his arm and is like, I want Dex to go to Gen Pop. That
Mm.
could make this better because I could presume infer he's like twisting his arm or something, and the warden makes a call. But saying like Mayor Fisk made this call is like that just makes no sense at all. A mayor cannot do this decision. So that was just like another weird detail that like just didn't work for me in the least bit. And the other part of this whole thing that I just couldn't buy was Dex being like, "I'm so afraid of Gen Pop." Like he says to Matt, "I'm bargaining for my life." It's like, Dex, why are you afraid of these people? Like you could, I would have no problem believing that you could solo every person in this prison without even trying. Like I have no problem believing this because you solo like police officers and like mafia gangsters in season 3. You were fighting the Kingpin. You beat Daredevil several times. You want me to believe like you were so afraid of nameless prisoners? I just couldn't buy that Dex was like actually in fear for his life. And then that's why he was like trying to bring Matt to kind of get him an appeal or something. It was very, very convenient. So I didn't like that. But yeah, that's my take on that.
And the next thing I wanted to talk about is the failure and Matt kind of losing it. So our favorite character, Leroy, he was in prison at the beginning of the episode, I believe, and then his subplot happened off screen. I did not like that. It's one of the problems that they keep doing. They keep rushing through stuff. Like they'll just show the beginning and then they'll show the end. And then they had a new client. He was lying. This client came out of nowhere, and it just kind of amplifies Matt's anger at the revoked wins and like the corruptness of the system. But I feel like all of this would have hit harder if Like the Ayala case was written better, if the Leroy case was written better, and everything was like the system failing was examined in a much stronger way instead of the way that was happened because these were mostly skimmed. How'd you feel about that?
Yeah, it felt kind of like actually at the beginning of the episode, I felt like they were talking about like the system, how it fails some people and then it helps like other people, like the richer people can get off. Like this, I don't know, this guy, skeevy whatever person who's like a rich business person can kind of get away with like screwing over teachers who are, not well paid and do hard work. And Matt was just had a rebellion against that completely. And then something happens in the second half of the episode where we forget the system altogether. Again, like Muse is a better example of this because he just fails the theme completely because he does not comment on the theme whatsoever. And
Mm.
honestly, same exact thing with Dex. Dex has no bearing on the system like working or not working. I mean, Dex like escapes prison. That's not like really inherently a failure of like the judicial system. He was convicted. It's not like he it was like he beat the case or something.
Right,
So
technically
I don't
Ayala was like
understand.
that too then,
What do you mean?
because he beat the case, but then a corrupt cop shot him. Is that part of the system or is that just the one corrupt cop?
Well, I think it's because like the police system, that's the police system, right?
Oh,
That failed Hector. And then this system, it's like the prison didn't even fail. It's Matt, you kind of like you broke his tooth and then he escapes from that. It's not like even like the guards were like falling asleep or something and people just kind of let him like out. It's like he like exploited a loophole or he played insanity and he was like he was like exposing loopholes in the judicial system and the legal system to get out. He escaped. He like killed people on his way out, which is interesting because Punisher kind of says something in episode 4 where he's like, listen, the system allows for Dex to be alive and Foggy who's dead. And that was like one of the better episodes, one of the better scenes in the entire series. And I wish that we were kind of debating this kind of angle on the system, but then they broaden it with the Hector stuff and the missing people. And then the Muse thing, which doesn't comment on the system whatsoever, and the Dex thing, which still doesn't comment on the system. To me, it was like, I don't understand how the second half of this episode relates to your thematic argument whatsoever.
and then I had a brief note on Red Hook. So the funding for Red Hook just magically happens off screen after being rejected the last time it appeared, and that's like another symptom of rushing because all the rich people they were kind of dissing Fisk and they were saying like you're just in it for yourself. And then at the start of this episode, we just hear him say, "Oh, the funding for Red Hook is successful." Did you notice that, or did you have any thoughts on that?
Well, he says that he got the public funding for Red Hook, right? Like he got his like not congressional, but he got like the city to fund it, and he still needs his private donors to match the city's funding, which is why he's like in the room like twisting arms with the rich people.
Mm.
So he got part of the funding, but he still needed to get those rich people who were insulting him before. I mean, I appreciate that the Red Hook story is starting to merge with the A story more. I appreciate that Fisk is now sharing scenes with Matt, which is something that has been sorely lacking in the entire series so far. But like still like my complaints about Red Hook is that it's not interesting. It's still not interesting. The development is like, okay, he got the fundings. I don't care still. I
Mm.
don't care that I don't know like Vanessa hired Dex to kill Foggy because Foggy was gonna get Benny off or something. Like it's just like that happened like what was that in real life 8 weeks ago, and now you're paying it off today, this week. Like you guys were not having like clinical writing where you were making sure like every single scene was going to build up to this moment. There were a lot of scenes that did not build up to this moment whatsoever. So even now that you're paying it off, does not like retroactively like redeem all the things that we had to watch to get to this point.
And then I had some comments on the couples. I like the way that there was the parallel of both couples revealing secrets at the same time, but both of the stories had issues for me. For Fisk and Vanessa, I thought they got back together with like barely any work. I think we saw one counseling session, and then Vanessa was talking about how she felt betrayed by Fisk, almost dying. And after that, they're basically good. She already set up Victor with Fisk in the last episode, so that showed that they were united to some sense. And then in this episode, she just shoots Adam, which kind of just reinforced that she was together with him. I thought that was poorly developed. And then for Heather, her hate for vigilantes is very undercooked. Her logic is basically they both wear masks, so they're the same. I thought that was stupid. It's not logical and it's a forced way to manufacture drama between the two. And it's really dumb because they already have the natural drama of Matt hating Fisk, but Heather and Fisk working together, Heather having Fisk as a client. And they could have just relied on that, but they didn't do that. How'd you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, this episode, we finally literally put the nail in the coffin for Adam. Like Vanessa murders him, and it's just like we closed the chapter on this very underwhelming, unnecessary story, which is Adam. Completely unneeded subplot altogether, because ultimately it's not even like after the relationship is tested, their marriage is tested through the temptations of Adam, now they are stronger than ever. Like Vanessa was never with Adam's entire season. Like the
Mm,
cheating thing happened off screen.
yeah.
So her like kind of killing Adam to me, what didn't feel like I assumed she was going to kill Adam. Like I just didn't think like it was going to be Fisk. If Fisk left him alive, I was like, okay, if he's going to die, it has to be Vanessa, and then she does. I'm like, I don't feel like you're closer from this, and it just felt very unnecessary and very unneeded. But going on to the point about Heather, Dr. Glenn, who is becoming my least favorite character this season, I think it's Dr. Glenn.
Mm,
Um, you correctly pointed out that she has this like irrational hatred for all masks. It it's so unearned, her hatred. Like I felt like I was watching like a poor man's J. Jonah Jameson, except that Jameson's rationale for not liking masks is much more earned and much better articulated than Glenn, because Glenn was there. She saw Daredevil defend her from Muse. So by definition, by being present in that scene, you know that heroes can do good. Masks can do good because you saw them do good. And then she says something like, no, Daredevil didn't save me. I saved me. I was like, how did you save yourself? Tell me the moments that led up to you getting the gun. Was it after Daredevil came in and saved you? Was that like what led up to that moment?
mm,
Like, I was like, were you about to solo muse? Is that what you're trying to tell me? You're gonna solo muse all by yourself. Like, what? It's just in arrogance and cockiness and irrationality. I can't back this character whatsoever. More to the point, she seemingly has like this affinity for Fisk because he's her client, and sure, I can appreciate that. But I also can appreciate that Fisk is a convicted felon. He's gone to prison at least twice since the Daredevil series started, for season one and season three. He's involved in so much conspiracy, racketeering, and like, I'm not even saying the stuff that they don't know. I'm sure like the Uric case is still not solved. Technically speaking, we don't know who killed Uric officially, because Gallagher says that Uric was killed and Fisk was the lead suspect, but they obviously never convicted him because he's that lead suspect. But there's a lot of stuff that is known about Fisk. A lot of stuff where he was convicted, sent to prison again at the end of season three after the whole Nadim thing, right?
mm.
So there's this very famous video of Nadim calling Fisk like a super criminal that sent him back to prison. And through this episode still doesn't answer how did Fisk get out of prison? So how we don't understand why the city elected him. Are they actually, is like half of the citizen actually okay with like a felon being
Mayor.
the mayor of New York? Are they actually okay with that? I'm sure some of them are actually okay because they think he's got like strength or leadership skills. But to my understanding, like there's no actual, it's not like he spun it. Like I was like, these cases were manufactured, and I have evidence, I have receipts to prove that it's a witch hunt or something. Fisk never says this. So for Dr. Glenn, why are you so cozy with Fisk? Why are you so okay with this like criminal? You're attending his party and you're like dissing Matt. Matt tells you, this is a bad person. This is a bad person, Dr. Glenn. You should not be with him. And you're gonna like kind of like twist his arm, and be like, no, in fact, you should come to the party with me. Like,
Mm,
how can you hate masks, even including one who saved your actual life, and someone else who is like an alleged killer, alleged mobster, and you're still fine with him? It makes no sense. Like her moral philosophy, her backbone, her arguments have no support because of her loosey-goosey decision making. I can't stand Dr. Glenn.
It's just bad writing to manufacture drama. And then the next one is Uric. I like how Daniel got promoted due to Uric's deal, so like it actually has relevance in the story. But I mean, whether Daniel's promotion has relevance, that's yet to be seen. And then I like how Uric teamed up with Gallo for the future because they're both side characters whose goals align and they might actually be able to make an impact by working together. But again, we have to see if that actually amounts to anything because it's just build up so far. How'd you feel about that?
Yeah, that was a pretty. I like that scene. I think the subplot is slowly developing a little bit better than it was at the beginning. I think that Gallo has, for me, has been actually been one of the sneakily the best characters in the season, because whenever he's on scene, he has backbone. He resists the urge of the other person. He always conflicts with Fisk. There's always drama when Gallo's on the scene, and seems like he's still interested in trying to disrupt Fisk's vision. It's not just like Fisk says something, all right, we're doing that now. He always tries to, his inclusion always brings drama and conflict to the story, which I really appreciate, even if it's only for like one scene per every 3 episodes. I like Gallo a lot.
Do you like Yurik?
She's grown on me ever so slightly. Not a lot, but like I appreciate that she's doing something more proactive, and we can see that actually she did know that Fisk is like probably killed her uncle, which kind of deepens everything she's been through so far, where we kind of thought she didn't know that, but now we know that she's been playing possum this entire time. So seemingly she's got some level of like connivingness. She can kind of understand and play a game, so to speak. So she's got a little bit of cleverness to her, which I appreciate. I hope they do something even better with her in the future. But yeah, she's fine.
And then my next point is the swordsman. So one of the rich people is Jack, who is suddenly revealed to be a vigilante that we saw like one time for maybe a couple of seconds on BB's videos, and his name is Swordsman. He was in Hawkeye, but I didn't watch that, so I don't know that. And then Fisk using this against him, I think it would have had more punch if the swordsman was actually relevant to the plot rather than the character that was shown for maybe 3 seconds.
Yeah, basically, like the interconnectedness of Born Again for me has not been actually a strength. It's not even a crutch. It's just a weakness whenever it happens. Like the Kamal Khan episode or her dad in a bank robbery was maybe the worst episode in the season.
Yeah.
And it's like mostly a lot of it has like Kamal Khan's dad in it.
Hmm.
So I'm just like, you can't just lean on this is a guest star from a bigger or another MCU show. Isn't this cool? Like the swordsman thing, like if you didn't watch Hawkeye, that's I'm sure those scenes stick out like incredibly, like not in a good way either. They just like
Mm.
are glaring. Like, wait, what? Swordsman? Oh, okay. Like it's not seamlessly like embedded within the plot. Like it just sticks out. Even I did see Hawkeye, and I was like, oh yeah, there's a cameo. Okay. It was just not like smooth sailing for me. I would rather just have it like, be a different billionaire who's an OC or something. Like, I don't think we added any depth by having Swordsman in here instead of just like an OC.
Mm. And then the last thing is actually a compliment. I like the blue background effect that they had for Dex. It happened twice when he killed the guards and then when he was about to snipe. And then they kind of reversed that with Matt at the end when he had the red lighting after taking the shot. I thought that was cool. It just looked good. And that's it. What about you?
Yeah, I think the Dex scenes, I mean, there are a little bit of convenient things that happen for sure for Dex, but like those were by far and away the best scenes of the season. Or I want, yeah, the season, sure. Yeah. I was going to say this episode, but they were probably the best scenes this season as well. He is handled really well, and I like basically everything that he's in. But I will say there's like one more point I want to make about something that I thought was weird. It's the Punisher cops and their incorporation into the story. There's a reporter who takes a picture seemingly for no reason and exposes his cover, and then Fisk is like, "Okay, get him." The Punisher cops like drag him out and finds the reporter, and then they burn his hand to kind of teach him a lesson. Like, all right, don't spy on Fisk. Like now you've been warned, kind of that thing. And Powell's the one who does it. What's Powell's characterization? What is going on with Powell? Because at first he seemed to be pretty evil. He's putting Hector on trial for a murder he did not commit. Then he tells me that Powell has had no involvement in the Hector murder, so maybe there's something deeper going on with Powell. He doesn't do anything for the rest of the season until he burns his reporter's hand, which is again pretty evil. So why do you give me that contradiction that maybe Powell has like some better goodness inside it? He might turn good, or he doesn't really. He's not in as deep as the rest of these Punisher cops. He did something like more evil than anything else we've seen from anyone else this episode or this season from the Punisher cops. Like he burns this guy's hand for seemingly no good reason, right? Just a guy taking a picture who should have been taking a picture. So what was the point of this contradiction? Like, why are we trying to like bait us with a deeper Powell character? And I'm like, nah, he actually is pretty effing evil though. It's like, oh, you're like retroactively undoing any good character work you could have done in the future and ruin the scene that was actually interesting all those episodes back. Yeah, I just thought that was honestly
Nothing
pretty
new.
horrible.
I mean, they already ruined Fisk. Why can't they ruin their new character?
Yeah. I mean, Powell was like the only new character where I was like, okay, there's a vision for this character, and it's like, no, there's no vision. In fact, so now we have no idea. We still don't know who killed Hector.
Is Punisher even gonna return? I don't even know.
I think he is next episode, which reminds me actually, why is he going to return? Like,
I don't
what
know.
new thing is going to
He has no
happen?
reason to.
Because he knew
They
that
dropped the
the cops were
vigilante plot.
cooperating.
I mean, not the vigilante. They dropped the corrupt officer plot. So there's nothing really to do.
Is it maybe that Bullseye hurts Matt, so then Frank needs to step up for Matt. Is that the thing? Because I don't really see that happening.
That doesn't sound in character for Punisher.
Yeah, like the writers need to write a reason why Frank is going to step up now, and it has to be some new information that was not present all those episodes ago when Matt confronted him with the Punisher cops. There's got to be something else. I need to hear Frank say it too. It can't just be like, Matt, I'm here to bail you out.
I
It
got
can't
it.
just be like that.
His son's still alive. He faked his death. Maybe that'll change
Oh,
his mind.
yeah, yeah. I mean, you know, what'd be kind of interesting
Hmm.
is if for some reason, and we're gonna have to do a little rewriting, but if Bullseye like hurt Karen in episode one, and then just something Bullseye being free just triggers Frank, that could be something interesting there. Because Frank obviously has an affinity for Karen.
Is Karen
And
gonna
Karen
come
was
back?
not in episode four.
Is Karen
Hmm?
coming back?
I think she is.
Was
So
gonna
maybe
be
that
her.
is what happens. Maybe it is just Karen coming back, and then he's like,
Maybe
all right,
Karen
I gotta
dies.
defend my
Maybe
girl.
that's how you raise the stakes. Foggy died at the beginning. Karen dies after the end.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, something needs to happen with Bulls or with Frank to make him want to come back. It's got to be different. Maybe it is Karen. Maybe who knows? Who can say? But are you more sure that episode nine will be better now after seeing eight?
Yeah, I mean, it'll be more entertaining. I can almost guarantee that because this was the most entertaining episode. A lot of things were actually happening. Even if they weren't writing it well, it was still a lot of things. Because there were times where I was kind of tuning out and trying to like write notes, but then I was like, wait a second, that was actually interesting. Let me go back. And I had to actually pay attention because things just kept happening. There were multiple characters, multiple subplots that actually ended up intertwining. We kept complaining about how subplots didn't intertwine before. In this episode, a lot of them did. The problem is that some of them just kind of came out of nowhere, like Dex or the Swordsman. So it's probably my favorite episode so far.
I would say definitely it's my favorite, and for me, I think it's also the best episode. And it has no small part to do with like Dex being back, and now we're rationalizing him. It's not like he's a madman taking out like perceived vendettas. He's a self-styled assassin anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
Like actually, Dex was like a contract killer. Although, didn't Dex try to kill Vanessa in season three? Why is he taking orders from her?
I don't
Like,
know.
wasn't that the hotel fight? Was like at her wedding with Fisk, and he was mad that Fisk killed Julie, so
Hmm.
he tried to kill Vanessa. So
Hmm.
now you want me to believe that he just like took orders from Vanessa, just like,
Yeah,
and she
I
would
forgot about
also
this.
trust him. Not even that he would do it, but she would even think to ask someone who tried to kill her, you know what? You did a good job almost killing me. How about I give you a job? Is that what happened?
What are the chances that they actually have an answer for that plot hole?
The same chances that we answer why Nikki was getting attacked by Powell.
I think they might be slightly higher. Actually, I don't know. I don't know. Because these writers, they're kind of a mess. Like they rewrote Kingpin's characterization, so I wouldn't be surprised if they just scrap Dex vengeance. And just like, you know what? He's gonna work for Vanessa. You have any more
That's how
notes?
it feels. That's how it feels to me. Um, what's your projection? No more notes, but what's your projection for the last episode? What do you expect to happen, and what do you think will happen if that's different from what you expect?
I think
No,
there's
that's
gonna
doesn't make
be
sense. What do
another.
you want to happen versus what do you expect to happen? Is what I'm gonna say.
What I expect to happen is another Matt versus Fisk fight. Maybe another three-way fight, just like the end of season three. I think Heather might die, or Vanessa might die. I think someone's gonna die because someone died in the first episode, and you have to kind of like match that in the final episode. I would assume. What I want to happen, I want them to answer the thematic questions. I want them to focus on the system. I want them to focus on the corrupt cops. I want them to answer the questions of what was Nikki doing, all of that stuff. I want them to just focus on the things that they actually set up ahead of time and like give us interesting answers. But I don't think that's gonna happen. What about you?
Yeah, I think that what I want to happen would be in the season finale, they have something that creates like an helps the argument that Matt's having or hurts the argument he's having about the system, whether it works, whether it's effective. That would be like what I want to happen.
Hmm.
But given the puzzle pieces I'm left with right now, Dex trying to kill Fisk, Matt who's like dying, bleeding out, me knowing the Punisher is coming back, and me knowing I believe that Karen's coming back, I'm just like, how do these puzzle pieces fit into the system theme we've been trying to build this entire time? I don't see how we're getting there. So we might just have to sacrifice good writing for hype aura moments one more time.
If we get another one take scene, I might be satisfied. It gotta be in a hallway this time though.
Who would it be?
Ooh, let's say the three-way fight. The three-way fight
In a
again.
hallway?
Yeah, all just one take. You know what? Throw
Where's
Punisher in
Frank
there
gonna
too.
be?
2v2 hallway fight. Punisher
Yeah.
and
But
Daredevil
Dex wouldn't
versus
fight with
Jessica.
Fisk.
Huh?
He wouldn't fight with Fisk.
Oh,
He,
yeah, maybe 2v1v1. Yeah, that's how
hmm.
you surpass season three, make it four people fighting at the same time.
Oh, like when Matt fought Muse and Fisk fought Adam.
Mm. No, no, no. That's two people fighting. You know what? Let's move on. All right, I think that's it. Well, folks, that's all from us today. Thank you for listening, and we hope to see you next time on the Podcraft.